poetic license.
We do.
Oh, movies more so.
Actually, you know, the Borgias, if you get HBO, the Borgias, oh my God, the garb in that is just so astoundingly beautiful and pretty much, I've been making this stuff for over 30 years. I've had this particular style for the same 30 years, but what they have is almost identical to what I wear. I'm much more elaborate because, of course, they're the Borgias, and they have tons more money than I ever might have. There we go. We're getting there.
It's heavy.
Okay. And it's heavy.
It's perfect. It's not that heavy.
But wait, there's more. We have one last garment. This is one last garment if you were just hanging around the castle. This is called a junea, or day dress. And again, it's inside out. Okay.
That would make it easier to put on, I imagine.
You can see that it's embroidered with pearls all over.
Mm.
And, let's see. Stickers. Now, grab all that. No, those are actually. Red. And we'll do it this way. We have this very elaborate junea, which does not always color coordinate. They made it a point to have different textures, different colors, and I do also have a red gown that I wear this with on occasion.
Wow.
So that's for the most part the Italian brand. This would be early 1500s. Thank you, and I think you can say, I hate carrying it around. I don't mind wearing it. Just, you know, when you wear it, it just all settles in. They say that about chainmail too. That when you put on the heavy coat of chainmail, that once it's settled on, it's as comfortable as any other garment. But this is great fun because we like to dance in it, and it's a little difficult at feasts when you go to reach for something and your elbow drags through the sauce. But yeah, those are some of the things that we deal with in our group.
Okay.
I'm an old lady. I was in high school in the 70s, and 60s and 70s, and it was the year that Franco Zeffirelli did Romeo and Juliet, and I think it was probably a junior, I think, and my best friend was absolutely in love with the leading man, and she said, you've got to come see this movie, which I was kind of interested in seeing anyway, but I think we saw it like 5 times. And it was very, very lush. It was very, very well done. And I just, she just kept sitting there drooling over Len Whiting. And I just kept sitting there drooling over the costumes. And, at some point I probably murmured, wow, I would love to wear something like that. And she being rather pragmatic, and had no talent, interest, or desire to do anything with sewing anyway, said, what would you wear it for? And I said, well, I don't know. Maybe I could wear it for, like, Halloween. And she said, Halloween? You're going to go through all of that work to wear it one night? And I said, well, I could probably do a couple of parties, wear it again the next year. She goes, yeah, fine, whatever. Well, that was high school, and graduated from high school, went to college, studied theater, and got to work in the costume department. And I ran for the SCA in 1976 at Tall Ships when they were in Newport.
Oh, wow.
The tall ships were happening, and there was this little red fair at Shamrock Cliffs off to the side, and kind of once you see one tall ship, you see them all. And except, you know, the colors are different, the language is different, but everything was pretty much, you know, this is our mainsail, this is our bowling pin, whatever they call those things. You know, they just described everything. It was like, okay, saw these, 3 of them. Okay, let's move on. Let's find something else to do. So we went to this little red fair thing. And I found people there that I actually had met in college but lost track of. And we all started chatting. And we basically determined that it wasn't a theater group. It was just a bunch of people who like to dress up and have fun in medieval clothes. It's like, I'm in. That's it. I'm in. So my first garb was a lot like this, actually. It was just kind of thrown together quick stuff because I wanted to go to my first event in garb. And the more I get into it, the more I said, where's the place I can wear that garb? And so I adopted the Italian Renaissance persona. And since then, I've taken it upon myself to learn more about the period. I have read extensively on the mercantile situation. It goes a little earlier than my period, but it's a good history for my period. So I learned about trading. I learned about the textile industry. The peasants, of course, did most of their own spinning, weaving, and dyeing. But there were houses or families who did, they were dyeing houses. And some of them actually had their own sheep. So a lot of this, in the Renaissance, it was farmed out. I mean, like, you didn't, like, depending on the class you were of, you would be able to go to a fair, like we're having, and you would be able to buy your dyed wool or dyed silk and linen there and bring it home and have your household seamstresses work on it for you. So that's, it's interesting how once you get into our group, how many different things you start learning. It just sort of branches off. Like, I joined learning how to cook. Well, I knew how to cook and knew how to sew. Since then, I've learned how to make beer. I've learned how to dip candles. I've learned a lot more about the pastry aspects, a little bit about using sugar paste and making, well, I'm bad at it, but I learned the basics of making sugar plate and making figurines out of sugar paste. And I eventually, having watched the guys make chainmail for their armor, I watched them and said, gee, that basically isn't all that hard. And so I picked up the basics by watching them, and then I started making chainmail jewelry. I thought, I can do that. I can do that smaller, cuter, prettier. And so that's kind of how I branched out. So I've learned a lot. I've been in the STA for about 35 years. In that 35 years, I've learned like probably 7 or 8 new skills that I didn't have before. And that's pretty much why when my brother said, you've been in this group for like through 2 marriages and 16 cats and, you know, and what's keeping you in? And it's like there's always something new.
Wow.
That's very true. Yeah.